everyone. This is Ripe. As I said, Ripe is Libabo. I'm the CEO. This is Colin Makwala. Hey, today I'm so excited because I have my son here with me. His name is Mzi Manyazi. This guy is a father. He's a CEO of Give Cares. He's also doing a challenge called Give Cares. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I hope you guys are all ears. You can't wait like me. I've got so many questions that I need to ask. Mzi Manyazi, welcome to Ripe, and I hope we are going to have fun.
Well, this conversation is already ripe.
Okay. I like that. Did you hear that? Ripe. Yeah.
Okay, I think the question was, we were asking about...
introduce yourself. Who's Mzi? Where do you hail from? And maybe a bit about your youth and where you come from, where were you born? A little bit about your life when you were still in Eastern Cape, if I'm not wrong.
I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
I was born in Epar.
Come on, it's alright too.
And it's the truth. I was born in Epar.
Yes.
And my mother and my father,
Yeah.
they became Midlands.
Oh,
So
yes.
in a back home.
Oh, okay.
At the time, my father worked for the mines.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I don't know what my mother was doing at that time.
Yeah.
They never told me. But I know that my father worked for the mines. He was a nurse there. And yeah, let me tell you, how did you get to be in the Eastern Cape? Why did I grow up in the Eastern Cape? So my mother was like me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like him.
Yeah.
He's a rebel, that guy. Yeah.
Why?
When they got say my mind,
Yeah.
so they had problems. Like they were having like problems in terms of incidents in Wabo, and there were things that needed to be sorted. Then him being the guy that he was, he decided, you know what, I'm going to those offices and I'm going to ban them.
Yo. Did he really ban them?
Yeah, he banned those offices.
Yes.
And unfortunately, some of the people he was with,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was arrested.
Yeah.
And remember, at the time there was South Africa, there was this guy.
Oh, yes.
So he was banished from coming to South Africa.
Oh.
And then he had to go and stay in Sky.
Okay.
Then that happened in 1983. And now I was born a year before that.
Okay.
So yeah, and yeah, we had to go back.
So the mother had to follow the father.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how was life like when you were still young in Ciskei? Then now Eastern Cape now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in life I was born, okay, I've already told you where I was born. Then when I like I don't like when I became aware of things, I was in a place called the Matagin.
Yeah.
So there is a township called Dimbaza. And then next to Dimbaza there is a location to Matagin. But like Matagin is a walk away from Dimbaza. It's like just crossing Indlela.
Okay.
At the time my father was working for a company that used to be called Southern Lights. And my mother was working for a company that was called something. But they used to make sausages.
So meaning they left all the professions this side. And your mother being a nurse now.
No, my father was a nurse.
Oh.
I don't know what my mother was doing.
Okay.
Here. Yeah. So when they went to the Eastern Cape, my father worked for that company and he was doing HR there.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what he was doing in HR. I was still very young.
Yeah.
And then my mother worked for that food place where they baked sausages and everything.
Okay.
You know, growing up when I was still young, I want a Christmas trees and all those lights and sausages and stuff. Those are things that my parents would bring on a like day-to-day basis and that's where I grew up. And then at the time in 1991, okay, my father was an abusive husband. in terms of like he literally would beat her up. And in 1991, she decided that, you know what, I can't continue with this anymore. And this happened after my father won. He was also a gambler. So he won some money whilst he was gambling, and then he went back and gambled with the same money and lost all of it. So now, when they were fighting, my mother decided, actually they set me down when they made their own decision, but where do you want to go? Do you want to go and grow up with your uncle, or do you want to go and grow up with Utato Mngwako? And then I made a decision with okay. Yeah, then that is okay. How
Yeah, fast forward now, we're moving personal life. We'll come back. We have questions obviously with your personal life, and I don't want to ruin your
don't worry. I'm here to lay it all in the on the line.
Yeah, because thinking about where you grew up, your father, your mother being abusive, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions. And okay, you grow up, and then you went to school, obviously, that side.
The primary, there was a school called Helen. I think it's still there. I studied there until new standard 1. Then I went, then that's when this happened. That was in 1991. Then I went to stay with my uncle in 1992. Then I was doing standard 2. I used to go to school.
Oh, you also did standards? You didn't do grades?
No. I didn't do grades.
I know, that means then we are cut from the same cloth. I can't get it on.
Then when I was doing standard 2, I remember at school I was always one of the top students. But now I did not have. Now remember, being the guy that's growing up, and then what happened is that at Timbaza there was an industrial area there. So what happened is that when ANC took over, what happened, those factories, those firms closed down. A lot of them closed down. That meant now my mother had no job anymore. My father had no job as well. But now I'll focus on my mother, because from there now that's the person I was inclined onto. And then she decided to become a domestic worker. So she was staying wherever she was working, and she would be working there. And then I grew up with Malum. There are things, there's a lot of things there that I can talk about. But that's where I learned how to head cows and how to head sheep. And
so you grew up heading sheep and cows and all that, so you know about all that life. Interesting. We're still coming there. Yes. So now you've learned that way. You're doing your standard 2 with your uncle. Then from standard 2, where did it go? Did you finish your, obviously it was lower primary. Then tell us, going to high school, how it was like.
Actually, it depends. When I was on standard 3, I dropped out during the year. Because my mother was very, 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 like I think I took from her when she was very confrontational. So they had a fight with Antoine, which is my uncle's wife. And
about you?
No. It was their fight. But now it went to a point where, like, she said, like, so now that was around June. So I didn't go to school for 6 months. And then I went back and I returned to the standard. It was standard 3. So that.
So did it affect you in terms of life itself or in school?
You know, one of the craziest things about me, I accept. I'm one of the people that if something is happening, I accept it. And I accept and I understand this is happening. And then I don't want to say I devise a plan, but I move forward.
All right, now you're in high school. Tell us about life in high school.
High school. I did high school. By the way, isikolo esisame marabadai. This is too much.
Come
Sounds
on,
like
tell
I'm
us.
lying.
Tell us. Yeah.
Isikolo sami esindandifunda kuso.
Yeah.
In fact, it doesn't exist anymore.
How so?
Abantu balalaliam, they stole, not stole, but like they made a decision that bazocandiziza esikoleni,
Yeah.
and then people took bricks and
Yo.
everything from the school.
So the school was vandalized and all that.
Mm.
Oh my God.
Non-Tutuzelo.
Yeah.
Funny, my sister is also non-Tutuzelo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I went to non-Tutuzelo Junior Secondary School, which is still in Makaya. And the school made me, I was one of the first people who focused on playing soccer, whilst the rest of Ilaliam loved rugby. But for some reason I loved soccer.
Anyway, so you finished your matric there?
Okay, no, I didn't actually. Then when I passed standard 8, it was in 2008.
Yeah.
Then I went to PE with Elizabeth. Then I went there to do my standard 9. That was in 2000.
So who were you staying with around that time?
Remember, my uncle was working in PE.
Yeah.
So I was staying at his house in Makaya.
Yeah.
In fact, like the house is my grandmother's house, but when she passed on, he
Then you took over.
yeah. And then his wife was staying there at the time.
Oh, okay.
And then he was in PE.
Alright.
Then when I went to PE, I was staying with him there.
Alright.
Yeah.
So was it like by matric?
Yeah, I was studying. When I was there, I did my matric, my standard 9 and 10 at Motherwell High School.
Okay.
Then went to Vista.
I see you again.
Then at school.
Yes, I do there. And that's been a time.
Okay.
One in 20s. Your father was a man, he was a nurse. He moved from Joburg, moving back there. And then you grew up there, and around there, Abafana Bakona Bebanjani, when they knew that you are this one guy from Ejus, I'm sure they had a bit of a beef now. Because when Umfonos are the Jews.
No, but there's a difference.
They didn't know about it.
Because I mean, when that happened, it was in 1983. So I was 2 years old when I got back to the Eastern Cape. So even abantu around me did not know anything. However, umangisuka manje emadakeni, which is close to Etimaza, ngiya emakhaya ngiyohlala kumalume wami. Yes, that's when what you're talking about happened, because now I met people who did not know about me. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So how was it like?
I had a lot of fights there.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fights.
And how did you manage?
Well, some I won, some I lost.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a guy, Mastole.
Yeah.
You know that guy, there's one thing about him. I think I fought with Mastole more than 4 times. But he was one of my friends.
Okay.
What made us to be close with one another is because we knew each other through fighting.
Okay.
And when we fight,
then you become true friends.
yeah. And when we fight, it was not a guarantee who's going to win. Like I never got into a fight with him, knowing that I'm going to win today.
Yeah.
And there are many things we didn't know back then.
Okay.
We didn't know that, like now, if I were to get into a fight, I would want to know, like I would want to be sure that I am ready for the fight.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about it is, if someone was to challenge me, the lambile, I know I won't have the energy to beat him up. You understand? I know I'll lose that fight, so I will have to make sure that I don't get into that fight. But back then we didn't know. We just got into a fight just for the sake of getting into a fight.
You know, as you speak, because I'm trying to see the interest in terms of sports. Where did it come from? Because you now spoke about soccer, which it's not something that you are popular with, but boxing, yes. And yet you've never said anything so far about boxing. So come on, What's happening? How did you? Because you're this person who loves to fight, I'm sure. And Eastern Cape. Oh, come on. Tell about fighting.
I never really did fighting as a
Sports.
as a sport, but
You never did boxing.
no,
But how do you understand boxing so much?
because I gave myself time and I learned it. I learned boxing on YouTube.
Come on. Come on. Being a guy that comes from Eastern Cape.
Yeah, no. But when I was fighting, when I would be fighting,
Yeah.
it would be. Now sometimes I get surprised. How did I learn how to punch? I don't even remember how I used to punch before.
Yeah.
But when I'm fighting, I knew that I have to jab. I
Yeah.
have to do this when I'm
Yeah.
fighting with my friends. Back when I was still young.
Yeah.
But learning boxing and
Yeah.
at the level that I'm at now, I learned it on YouTube,
Okay.
and I didn't just learn. I gave myself time. I practiced. I
Okay.
did everything, and yes, that's how I got to learn it.
But
But I always played soccer.
we are still down there at the beginning. Because I think everything in a foundation, you know, we look at a person and sometimes we wonder why certain things he does them the way he does them. But if we look deep to their past and future, where they actually started developing as kids, that's where you can see that, oh, no wonder. But that's where I want you to tell us so that we understand who Mzi Manyazi is. Now,
like
Mzi, before you can even say anything, because I know you can talk the whole day. I want to know, now your father was a nurse, now they moved inside, they start working, they are trying to make ends meet. The way I look at it, maybe they were struggling to make ends meet, and they used to love each other so much, and then because you know couples. Like, how did it make you feel when they were now separating?
I used to have nightmares every night.
Tell us how you actually felt. Don't just give us you had nightmares. Why would you have nightmares? What was in your thoughts? I just want you to tell us.
Well, for me, I didn't like the fact that my father would beat up my mother, and also I also got the whipping as the son. And
How did that make you feel?
yeah, I think I accepted it. But
Let me just give you an example in terms of, because I see similarities between you and me. My father used to beat my mother to hell. Look, shame. But I can tell you that during the time when they used to do that, I used to feel out. I used to feel like if I had power to actually defend. So I want you to talk. I want you to tell us exactly what you felt. I don't want you to take it on top.
No, I
Tell
wish
us exactly. Tell us the emotions that you were going through, so that we all understand. I will tell you why. Because as we going to talk, there is somewhere where I'm going to be asking you questions, and I want to understand that all these things where they come from. Because now I can see where they come from, but you don't want to come out. Just
I'm
come
out, yes. That
No,
is
you
just
don't.
that.
My father would be a person who, when he comes inside the house, first thing when he comes in, he would say Masepa. He'd call me Masepa. My father. Now you see where I'm going. This is where I want you to go.
You know,
I want you to go to that level. Okay.
Behind the car, December.
Yeah.
I remember one December. December.
Yeah. Now we're talking about a month. I get it.
This guy was carrying a huge knife,
Oh.
chasing some people I don't know,
Oh.
not far from a car.
Yeah.
And then we got back. Yabo. So to me, what used to happen, a car, was not as violent as what I saw when I was outside.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that even if my father would pick me up, at least I knew he wouldn't step me
Yeah.
I knew he wouldn't stab my mother. Like where I grew up in Matagen, if you can hear, you can go now maybe and ask anybody that's watching, like who knows about Matagen, and they tell you how is that place.
Yeah.
That place is very dangerous.
So it was a Matagen or Mampel?
Yeah, it's a Matagen
in the real mats.
Like if you were to think of a Matagen,
yeah.
Jenga, like Epitor,
yeah.
think about Hamanskral.
Yeah.
Unendawo talks a dark city there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually igama Matagen talks a dark city there.
Okay.
So whatever was happening in Kaya, as violent as everything that was happening, my home was safer than Gangster Stratway. Yeah. So I can't really remember everything to the core, but what you said, I knew that like Nam, if I could, I would have fought for my mother. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be a soldier. Because I believe that at least if I can have this training, I'll be able to protect my family. Because I did not want to feel helpless when things are happening. And I'm happy to say today that like at least I know that I can do something when things are happening. No, my pelelanga.
But as Pegematake Njongobusho Yazi, you are actually talking about interesting things here. Why do you think men during those times were acting the way they were acting? If I mean, when I'm also why would men want to act like animals and beat up their women and beat up their kids? What was going through their minds?
Intoxication. My father used to drink. I think alcohol is a problem.
But now,
well, actually, alcohol is not the problem. But to some people, the alcohol
but before it actually even becomes a problem, what causes a person to end up drinking that much that he's intoxicated and he doesn't even remember what he does when he's intoxicated? Especially men.
I think I'll personalize it. He's a and sometimes I feel comfort mangiphuza. Abantu banokuthi ukuthi alcohol release dopamine emzimbeni wakho. And if you think about it, dopamine is a hormone that you release.
It's a happy hormone.
Yeah, uma achieve something.
Yeah.
So alcohol gives you that false hope.
Okay.
And I just think sometimes whatever was annoying you, you find this power to face it. So I don't know, I just think that maybe abantu bakudala ungabaphuzile nabo, they were able now to deal with other things that and they end up taking out the anger,
their own frustration
over. And
because that thing everybody has an edge to actually act and not solve.
And like these people are people who had dreams and they couldn't achieve their dreams. And you find most of the time who ends up taking out the frustrations zezinto angakhona uzenza ngobomi bakhe onto someone else. And I think the laws also are not very helpful because police didn't do much about
it. Okay, finish high school, you go to Vista. I
was doing PCOM.
Yes. An accountant, daughter.
I didn't finish though, but I was doing, I didn't finish. I dropped out in the second year. Then when I dropped out, that's when I was joining the military.
Okay. So tell us, you're in the military now.
Yeah, so Vista.
Vista, I wouldn't talk much about Vista because I will tell you, we say Vista, we're in the second year, and from whatever you've just told me, who's a join up soldier? Join it because you wanted to protect. So Vista want to have juicy stuff. I want where the juicy is. Now, what really propelled you to say, I need to be in army and not an accountant?
In fact, when I joined the army, I also wanted to have money so that I can take myself to school.
To finish the degree?
Yeah. And one of the reasons why is because now at the time my mother, I think she was working in Cape Town as a domestic worker. Imali angithumelela yona was not always enough for the things I wanted. And you find in NFSAS, I remember on my second year, second year, NFSAS said they are not going to pay.
Why were your results not good?
I was an A student. But for some funny reason, they did pay. But by the time they paid, I had already joined the military.
No.
But when I was in the military, because I joined 2004,
Yeah.
I dropped out 2003.
Yeah.
So when I was in the military, I thought that I was going to finish the accounting. Little did I know that when I get there will be other things that will take my interest.
Yeah.
The first one was special forces. Then when I finished, I chose to go to special forces. I remember it was 9 of us.
Can you explain in terms of, okay, you get to the army, what the first thing that happens when you get to the army? Because I mean, we as people who only see things by the movies where when they get to the army they treat them bad, they shave their heads and then they make them do so many exercises and then yada yada. So yeah, just give us the truth in terms of what the army is like. I mean, I don't think it's a secret, ne?
I'm going no, there's
okay.
No secret.
Yeah.
Well, even if it was.
Yeah.
I'm a free man now.
Yeah.
Not free man.
Yeah. not a free man I was interviewing.
So it was it was the 3rd, or no, it was the 4th of July 2004. Okay. In that Makola, there are many things that we skipped. I received. Let me start with the induction.
Yeah.
It happened in 2003 when I was still at school. So
induction.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was during the week. I think it was a Thursday. So I'm coming back from a soccer practice. Then Mangfika, I was told to Bangaba, my cousin was looking for me. My cousin was already in the military, and I idolized him. And then out of the gun funa, they asked for I go for Indon, put up interviews throughout the week, and Laban Baba Tatile could not qualify. So EPE need more people. So it's the last day tomorrow, which is Friday. He's going to come as Uslanda, induction. So now I never applied to be in the army. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So because I believed in him and I believed in and I always had what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I'm going.
Yeah.
Ngahamba. Uma ngifika laphayana, I was with my cousin. Umninawa, like he younger brother walona, younger bantwana bakamandume bona. Then masifika lapha no cousin wami sabhala ke some entry exam.
Yeah.
It's more like an aptitude test.
Yeah.
And he didn't pass, I passed. And then we went, we did medicals. Then, but now I was underweight at the time. So they said I should train. And then, like, I should gain weight actually. Because I was training, I was very fit. So I should gain weight. Then the doctor said to me, instead of gaining weight by eating and gaining fat, rather go and do weights. You will gain the weight. But when I went back, then they did not take me for a year. Then I received my appointment letter in March. Had a rank, had salary. My salary was 1.6 when I started. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, very Oh,
Bengo.
Yeah, and then ngathola le appointment letter, and then I got it in March, and I had to report on the 5th of July that year. So I had about 3 months.
Okay.
Now what I wanted to share is that during that time I was very fit because I was preparing myself. We were chased ngabahlali mina nokazi wami. I remember that day. I ran for my life. I was like, there's no way I'll be caught by people and be beaten up, and I won't be able now to report themselves. Right. Yeah. Okay. That way again. So on the way, my uncle took me to the base, and then there was a bus called Way Vierta or something. We were taken by Vierta buses, and then from PE to Bloemfontein.
Okay.
That time, masendleleni basithengela amabheka siyadla. We didn't even know that it was our money that they were using. Now it's big. Sadla amabheka kwamnandi kwathini. Then our bus broke down, and then there was a bus from Cape Town. I think we met that bus in Bloemfontein or Colesberg. And then we drove to Kimberley. That's where I did my basic training through South African Infantry Battalion. So day one, Mofika, Misi Pasi, like you find those guys there ready. And he said, hey, get the fuck out of the bus. Don't. Line up there. Don't to the wall. Have all your bags. Carry all your bags. Let's go. Come on, you're too slow. They make a lot of it becomes confusion. And now from the life of relaxing in the bus to this. But to me now, I'm like, but why are these guys making so much noise? Like that's me. Like, why? Because I never really watched basic training movies. I would watch soldier movies and people shooting. And I was like, no, I'm here to learn how to shoot. Why are these guys making noise? Like but
interesting,
and I was that guy, like I was calm, very too calm, I think. Now when I'm thinking that as an instructor, I don't think I would want to have me as a student at the time. Then we get to the hall, you get all the papers, all the contracts, you sign them that night when you arrive. Like, I mean, we got there around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, and we were signing contracts. I think, I don't even remember what I signed. Like,
you were just signing.
Yes, signing my life away. We just sign every page. Like, they build your file on day one. When we finish there, then they give you a trunk. That trunk will have your blankets, your uniform, everything. And then they tell you, they show you how to iron uniform. That night. The following morning, you're standing inspection. You don't even know what's inspection. The following day, you go to the sick bay. You're doing medicals. The very following day, you wake up, you go and do medicals. I think if they could, they would have done them that night. And now, when we're doing medicals, I'm standing here leaning against the wall. Who's this guy? I know now, he was Trooper, something like that. Sergeant Major Trooper. He didn't even know what a Sergeant Major. So who's this colored guy? And he's shouting, why are you leaning against the wall? Don't lean against the wall. No. I laughed. Why are you laughing? I'm like, this guy, why is he making noise? I was a real civilian. Why is this guy making noise? But basic training is hell. It's hell. But I was the fittest male in my basic training. Which is one of the things that made me. Actually, that's where I got into fitness, because when I became the fitness man, I was like, I think I like this. But at the time, there was special forces, so I chose to go to special forces. Actually, I chose PTI to become a physical training instructor in the military. Then when they were like coming up with stories, they asked if I could swim. I couldn't swim. Then they said they can't take me. Then I chose Special Forces.
Okay.
So we were taken to Special Forces and yo,